Order, please join me in the pledge and I'll say the kick.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Holy Father, we thank you for this evening. Pray you be with us as we deal with the agenda and the business of our city. Protect our staff, our patrol officers, keep everyone safe as we go through this holiday season. And Father, too, that the people that are in need in this community, I pray that their physical and spiritual needs will be met this Christmas season. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All the way down to item C. Things are moving fast. Entertaining someone to approve this evening's agenda.
I make a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Second. Chris has made the motion. Oliver seconds. All those in favor, say aye.
Danny, some microphones.
Oh, yes.
Motion carries. Okay, item D is citizen comments. An opportunity for anyone present to speak, give your 3 minutes, and this is our chance to listen to your concerns. If you'd like to talk about things in a more detailed way, we'd be happy to set up a time at your convenience to meet with you. So we will open citizen comments. Okay. Seeing that there are none, we'll close citizen comments and move on. I'm going to check the ex parte conflict of interest declaration, make sure that no one has any conflicts or had conversations that would impact any decisions that they're making this evening. No, and no, and no. Okay, we're good on that. No appointments or recognitions, consent agenda. Any things in there? Hopefully everybody's had a chance to look those over. Now I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I make the motion to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you, sir.
Second.
Motion to approve. Krista seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. No unfinished business. That brings us down to new business. Brooke Carroll, our CFO, front and center.
Good evening. It is my pleasure to bring to you the Tyler Technologies ERP software and implementation request. This is something that staff is pretty excited to bring to you all for approval. As you recall back when we were working on our 10-year CIP, we had put software initiatives into that plan, and now is the time to bring that to light and get approval and start setting the stage for 2026. Part of the modernization will, I guess I have a flipper, do I?
And it doesn't want to work.
It's not working.
Right.
Part of the city's strategic plan is to modernize the finance, payroll, and administrative operations. Why should we do a new ERP or accounting all integrated software program? Our current system that we use right now is GWorks. It is a legacy software that isn't making really much improvements, and we've pretty much outgrown it. We have a lot of issues with GWorks functioning properly on a daily basis. I think you guys have heard us talk about this already. And basically it's at the end of its life cycle. Tyler Technology Solutions will provide us kind of a software package where we have lots of our modules under one roof, where now we honestly have many different modules under different roofs that end up causing trouble with GWorks to make that work. We are looking at putting together in this package our finance, payroll, and HR functions utility billing, MyGov permitting and economic development, municipal court, police department, and administration modules. As we went through the process of vetting vendors for this program, or this process, we didn't just set with Tyler, we looked at several different ones. We met with Muni Billing, which required us to, Muni Billing was really a nice software, but it required us to get different modules for each of the components. So we would have had to get payroll separate, permitting separate, everything would be separate. And when you look at the cost of those all together, it ended up actually being more than the Tyler product all in one house. Tyler Technologies provided the most complete, cost-effective, all-in-one platform. As a final demonstration, staff got together one final round with Tyler Technologies on October 15th, and we met with them and did extensive whole day training with staff on site. We've had some extra trainings in demo work as well outside of that, but everybody was able to ask questions, determine if they truly liked it, and we feel that everybody was pretty much on board with the product that they're bringing for us. Another reason we decided to go, or we're proposing Tyler, is a lot of the other communities around us also use Tyler, so they've either gone through the implementation recently or already in it. So I have a good network to work with as we're doing this implementation, and we'll have good support with them. We've been promised good support with Tyler Technologies as well. Tyler did say that they have a new regional person that will be specific to us, who's actually housed in Wichita. Project timeline, this will not be a quick and easy solution. You know, our city's growing, we've outgrown our software. We're going to purchase one that's going to last us for many years into the future. We're looking for, this program is going to take us probably 12 to 18 months to complete. So it isn't going to be something that we see happen overnight. We have to be patient with the timeline that they're giving us. If they allow us to work quicker, we will. I will make sure of that. They won't be waiting on us for anything, if that's the case. If we can move quicker, I would prefer that. One of the things that we have to consider as well in the finances of this whole product is we're going to have to pay for G-Works as well in the interim as we're doing this. So we're going to have some double up costs that we're going to just have to take on until we are able to pull the plug on G-Works and some of the other softwares that we have. The 2026 budget included in our CIP $200,000 in the general fund discretionary capital outlay for this program. Luckily, the whole program for implementation is coming in at $158,653. I have factored in a 10% contingency just for things that we may not consider. This also takes into consideration consultation with Imagine IT, our software, our IT people that we contract with as well, because they're going to have to do work on their side. And then on an ongoing basis, we can expect to see $63,953 with probably an increase, you know, as they do year after year annually. I do want to mention that currently right now we're paying $23,000 for G-Works product, but we're also paying several thousands of dollars for different things as well that we will either get a cost savings that we won't have to use into the future, or it's going to be, you know, pretty comparable to this. So when we don't have to pay merchant fees anymore for credit card processing, that's going to save us $25,000 because that's handled all within G-Works. Handled all within Tyler Technologies. We're going to not have OpenGov anymore. So that's another cost savings that we're going to have. So I'm going to say probably within another year, when I can exactly tell what we're not going to need anymore based on the conversion, I'll be able to show you what we're not using anymore and what that $63,000 is really going to look like, because it's either going to be this or probably less when you net all those things out. As I've mentioned, financial considerations. This subscription is going to start in January if it's approved tonight, and we'll get moving first thing in January. G-Works, again, we have to continuously pay that $24,000 instead of $23,000, $24,300. And again, this will be consolidating multiple aging systems into one place. Brian Peck has reviewed the contract and has approved it to form. I think there wasn't really anything major, it's pretty standard. So tonight, staff recommend to City Council that you authorize the CFO to execute the software as service agreement with Tyler Technologies for implementation of the city's new ERP system, and authorize the city administrator and the CFO to coordinate project management, oversee implementation activities, and allocate budget funds from the general fund in accordance with the approved investment summary and project timeline. Any questions?
I make a motion to authorize the CFO to execute the software as a service agreement with Tyler Technologies Incorporated for implementation of the city's new ERP system, and authorize the city administrator or CFO to coordinate project management, oversee implementation activities, and allocate budgeted funds from the general fund administration department in accordance with the approved investment summary and project timeline.
Small motion, but we have a motion on the table. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Robert seconds. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. Thank you. Let's see, who's the next batter?
Honorable Mayor and City Council, it's my pleasure to bring to you the real estate purchase agreements for the North Park Remnants. You guys might recall a few weeks ago you approved the execution of the memorandums of understanding for these two pieces of property here. So as you guys know, we are pretty much in the thick of it, of advancing the design of the North Park project. Everything's on track for that spring of 2026 construction. Really, the only reason we're not going to be constructing earlier than that is we working through the wrap up of grant agreements, because we've been able to raise some additional funds. So part of this planning process includes making sure that we've entitled all the property that's needed for the project prior to construction. So just to remind you as to what this is about, so we needed these properties to ensure proper grading, stabilization, erosion control, and flood control, and access for the public to the shoreline around the ponds. That's where these two remnants come into play. So there's the Fouts property purchase agreement and the Braun / Schmidt land exchange agreement. Got some tongue twisters in here. So if you look at the illustrations, you can see these remnant properties. These are on the southeast part of the park. This orange one here, the image on the left, that's the Fouts property. That's roughly about 0.6 or 0.7 acres. We came up with that value based on some recent sales in the area. And then this one on the right is it's actually a land swap, so not a purchase but a swap. This light blue color here is city property that will be swapping for the orange here. So there's several conditions along with this, the same as they were in the MOUs that you'd seen. You can see the purchase price for the Fouts. It's about $21,000. We're going to be trying to close, I want to say the second or third week of December, but at any rate before January 30th. There's also the condition that we waive water and sewer tap fees. That's no sweat off our back, because we're already doing that to incentivize the development of Class A apartments, likely something we would have done anyway, because they do intend to develop that parcel into an apartment complex in the near future, as well as putting in the water and sewer services. Both of those things would happen at the time of development. The utilities are very close. Probably we would actually put those services in-house with our staff. We may have to subcontract out some directional boring to get under 183rd. Of course, we have to contemporaneously close with the Braun agreement. That one is the land swap, pretty close to equal value, 8,108 square feet versus 8,123. There's also some conditions in there. Again, probably some things that we likely would have needed to do anyway as it relates to the erosion control, putting in a retaining wall, and then they would like us to make sure we have tree plantings in there every 40 feet. That includes existing trees, so trees that are already there today would be a part of the trees that need to be there every 40 feet. And then a cedar fence that would screen their property from the parking lot there on the north boundary right there. Sorry, the clicker is feeling a little tired this evening. You can see kind of the details on who's sharing the closing costs. I know that $21,000 and maybe some of the other conditions may not seem like a small amount, but when you're discussing a $6 million park, it's relatively minute. Some of this other stuff here is redundant, so I'll spare you that. You've seen the financials and as well as the details on the land exchange. We already have the funds, the $6 million plus when you factor in capitalized interest for the North Park project. We received those funds several weeks ago, so when we go to close, we'll have the money available to complete the transaction. Okay, here's your recommendation. Essentially, we're asking council's approval to authorize the mayor to execute the real estate purchase contract as well as the land exchange contract with the other party, and then giving myself authority to carry through this process to the closing. I'd be glad to take any questions.
Any questions? This has really been done because we did have an easement around the pond. This straightens that out, so we're actually going to have ownership around the pond, which cleans a lot of different things up in terms of liability.
Yeah, it's amazing what you thought you were getting versus what you actually are getting. Once you dig into the details of things, started looking at this a couple of years ago, and it's like, being able to use this pond appropriately and to develop this site, we're going to need to acquire some more property. So it takes a long time to acquire property, and so that's kind of why this process had to unfold. But yeah, there was a non-exclusive easement that ran with the shoreline 20 feet wide. That can be a little ambiguous, so this really cleans all of that up. It allows us to go in and properly control for flooding. There is a floodway that runs through here. Allows us to be able to protect our property and those other parties that we're working with. And we want to make sure the public has unfettered access to this park amenity that we're going to be investing a lot of money into. So we'll be able to wholly and fully utilize that pond. Our intention is we want to be able to do kayaking, paddle boating. We want to get this sponsored by the Community Fisheries Assistant Program. They'll come in and stock the pond, so all the anglers in our community from abroad can come in and fish. We'll be able to have full use of the pond once we get this little issue tied up.
I think one of the questions that I've gotten was, is it common for us to, and I think that it is, but I could be wrong, to often pay for the water and sewer development on land that's owned by other people? Like, for instance, the Fouts are purchasing this land, they're going to build on it. Is it common for us to build the water and the sewer development, or is that something that the developer or the landowner often pays for?
This is not uncommon at all. We have a very recent history of incentivizing the development of Class A apartments, which is the intended land use for that parcel. And so waiving the sewer and tap fees and then paying for those services to be put in is not something that is unusual to us. Anytime there is a clear dearth of some type of development, residential, commercial, industrial, it's very common for cities to incentivize the ability to attract that kind of development. We understand that we don't have many of apartment units. Even those that we have coming online, we are a far cry away from where we need to be. It's a real shame that a Goddard grad can't graduate from school and then be able to come back and afford to live in our community. So that's why we're incentivizing these types of things, and it's really a very small expense to waive those fees. When you compare it to the value that you're receiving when you have this development come to life. So think of the property tax revenue that would come from an apartment complex, the compensating sales tax that would come with an apartment complex, those types of things. We're going to sell a lot of water through that meter, and so it will pay for itself very quickly once it's vertical. That was very long-winded. I could have used one word, but figured I'd give you the detailed answer.
I appreciate the detail.
Of course.
Any other questions?
I make a motion to move to authorize the mayor to execute the South Real Estate Purchase Contract, the Braun Schmidt Land Exchange Real Estate Contract, and authorize the city administrator to execute all related closing documents, releases, plating documents, covenants, and instruments necessary to complete both transactions.
Krista makes the motion, I will second that motion. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0.
Mayor, to leave the podium, I want to thank Cody Phillips with Morris Lane. Lots of time and effort into developing these documents. It's not an easy task, so I appreciate their work.
Okay, next we have our bond counsel, Kevin Cullen. Good evening, Kevin.
Good evening. So the next agenda item relates to a community improvement district for Hawkins Lane improvements. The governing body enacted a resolution at a previous meeting after receiving a petition for the creation of this district, and that previous resolution called for a hearing on the matter. That hearing was set for this evening, so that's a little bit of foreshadowing. Analysis on this topic: the city provided notice of the hearing, published it, provided it to the property owners, which were the signers of the petition to satisfy the statute. The resolution sets forth the maximum amount method of assessment, approves the method of financing of the project, including general obligation financing of the project, and that's subject to a 60-day protest period. So that's sort of the background. This is similar to things you do with special assessments. This one is different because the improvements relate to improvements that the co-op will make. That's a private entity, and then cultural amenity, the entrance with the giraffe, and so those are not city infrastructure. And we can't use the typical statute for that, so we use the community improvement district that allows the private improvements to be made and financed with special assessments. So the financial considerations: no direct cost to the city in connection with the proceedings except publication and mailing costs. The process will lead to the issuance, presumably, of general obligation temporary notes of the city to finance the project costs, and later assessment proceedings for project costs, and the issuance of general obligation bonds. Legal background, including the ordinance that we referenced. I prepared those, reviewed them. They're all in accordance with both the intent resolution and the original petition and the applicable statute. So again, that's sort of the background. Tonight's actions would be open a public hearing, allow public comment. It's really a unique statute. We don't have this sort of requirement on your other special assessment projects under the General Improvement and Assessment Law. And I think the reason for the Community Improvement District being different is there's sometimes, frequently, a sales tax component. And I think that's why the legislature built in a public hearing requirement. We don't have that here. This is just for special assessments, but the statute nonetheless requires the public hearing. So again, in terms of actions, tonight we'll open, hold the public hearing, allow public comment, close the public hearing, and then with the closing of the public hearing, you're able to consider the ordinance. And again, the ordinance is what will create the district. I referenced this earlier. Set forth the estimated costs, what's the description of the improvements, all of that basic information. From this point forward, the ordinance will be published. There's a 60-day period that has to expire from the holding of the hearing tonight before you'll be in a position to issue any of the temporary notes of general obligation bonds under this authority. So once you get to the ordinance, we'd ask that you waive the reading of the ordinance, place it in the record, then consider the ordinance. So I'll stop there. Happy to address any questions that you have. If you don't have any questions of me, then you can open the public hearing and close it, and I'll be back up here for questions, I guess, on the ordinance if you have questions on the ordinance.
We get at this point? Okay. Well, I entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
Make a motion. Open the hearing.
Chris has made a motion, Naomi seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We have opened the public hearing for the CID. And gone. Anyone wants to comment?
Mr. Mayor, I just want to make a quick interjection. There's no limit to the
Right.
time on this type of hearing, so
And based on the line up in the hallway.
shouldn't be a problem.
Should be a problem this evening, so we're good. I'll make a motion that we close the public hearing. Naomi seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That motion carries 4-0. Thank you. Welcome back.
All right. I didn't draft the long motion for you. Hopefully you have the ordinance before you in your packet, so it's typical motion, second, discussion, vote on an ordinance.
So 4 and 5.
Right, yes. So we need that. I'll make a motion to waive the reading of the ordinance.
I second.
Krista seconds. I've made that motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. Okay.
I'll make a motion to consider the ordinance and related documents.
Krista's made a motion to consider the ordinance and related documents. Aubrey seconds. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Hall,
Yes.
Councilmember Leonard. Yes. Mayor Lee,
Yes.
Councilmember Collins,
Yes.
Ordinance passes 4-0.
ordinance number 1024.
10-24. Very
Thank you.
good. Thank you, sir. And now the rest of the show is being brought to you by our community development director. Micah, have at it.
I will try to expedite these, but not to the extent that you accuse me of chicanery, so I will go at a reasonable cadence. So this is I-4, this is the condemnation for Goddard City Center utility easement. Feel free to ask me any questions about this. Basically, we have two big projects, 167 and 23rd South, both of them tied to a lift station that then is funneled into a force main that is jettisoned to the west over to 183rd, which connects into a sewer and that's existing. We had originally agreed to have an easement with the previous property owner who then proceeded to sell the property. So then we tried to negotiate with the existing property owner who, at least through a third party, agreed to it and then has since not been able to be contacted and not in touch with. So we need to get that easement so that we can place a sewer line underground and then have these two developments tie into that force main. So since we can't reach them, we're hoping, you guys have seen this before, we've gone through an easement, condemnation process. At some point, the property owner goes, oh, that's right, I need to sign that, and they sign it and it never goes to court. And hopefully that's the case today. If not, then, our illustrious Ryan Peck will represent our cause, and if you guys have any questions for him, he is available. So what questions do you guys have related to this?
I don't have any questions, I just know we had talked about this. I thought that it ultimately would be a benefit if he sold that land and needed to tap water, it'd be much easier for him to do that.
Yes.
Because of this line, basically giving him the access to the water.
Ironically enough,
Free.
it's pretty funny because this particular property would need to tie into a sewer line that would then do a big boomerang. That sewer would basically, on this particular property, would have to run to the east, hit the lift station, get back into the force main, and then jump back to the west in order to get back to 183rd, just the way the property is laid out. So he would be tying into this force main through the use of the lift station, which is funny, but instead of just having to go to west. But that's just the way the property runs and the way it's graded. So yeah, it benefits his property. That's why he wasn't opposed to it, but this particular individual doesn't necessarily develop land. He just holds on to it and sells it at a later date. So presumably, once the easement's acquired and the force main's put in, it actually makes his property more valuable, which is interesting.
And he lives out of country, right, if I remember right?
I don't know his exact location, but I can say that he is not available, so.
Yep, okay. I don't have any questions.
Our attorney is here, drafted the condemnation resolution, so if you have questions for Mr. Peck.
This is the first step.
First of the day.
Yeah. So we adopt the resolution, the survey, the legal description for the easement are officially filed of record with the city clerk. Then we'll come back and adopt an ordinance. That is really the starting point for my proceedings. And so then I draft the petition to file with the district court that actually commences the condemnation.
And all the while, you'll be reaching out to him?
We
Or
will
not?
be.
Okay.
I mean, if he responds, I mean, that's been my understanding, and the reason for the need to proceed in eminent domain is he's just not responding.
I'll continue.
So, but he'll be served with a copy of the paperwork, and he'll have the right to show up and speak his piece, and hopefully he'll reach out in advance of that, because I mean, usually these things get resolved on their own, get negotiated on their own, but, you know, if you're not getting cooperation or communication from the other side, it just leaves us no other choice.
Now, hopefully he'll show up for Thanksgiving around here someplace.
Yeah.
We get a signature and move on, but if not, maybe it's Christmas.
That'd be ideal.
Well, I'll make a motion that we begin the process of condemnation of this easement.
I second.
Krista seconds. I've made the motion. All in favor, say aye. Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you very much. This is item I-5. Yes, that'd be great. This is item I-5. This is to remove the R1B from the zoning regulations. So R1B is a floating zoning classification. It's a classification that doesn't apply to any properties currently, but it is on our books with subdivision regulations. It's sort of inverted from where we want to head as a city, generally speaking. So it's going to be more low density. It's going to have a minimum square footage requirement for housing, and we want to try to allow development to be as versatile as possible. And so, since it's not applied to any properties right now, there wouldn't be any non-conformity if it was removed from the subdivision regulations. There's no property that has an R1B right now. We do have an R1A, we do have an R1, we have R2s, R3s, R4s, PUDs, no R1Bs. And so this would simply remove it from the subdivision regulations, frees up space, doesn't create any non-conformity, and then we can move on adopting other types of zoning regulations in the future. So, do you have any questions about that one?
No?
Planning Commission did approve it, 6-0. We did have a public hearing. There was a public notice, obviously, and then we would need to have another public notice published in the city newspaper if you guys adopt it tonight. That's what you're going to see a lot of these from the next agenda items moving forward. So we would, of course, need to waive the reading of the ordinance and then approve the modifications to Article 4 of the zoning regulations, removing R1B.
Make a motion to waive the reading of the ordinance.
I second.
Naomi's made a motion to waive the reading of the ordinance. Krista seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carries 4-0.
Very good.
Make a motion to approve the modifications to Article 4 of the zoning regulations, removing R1B zoning classification.
I'll I'll second that. Naomi made the motion, I've seconded that. Roll call.
Councilmember Hall,
Yes.
Councilmember Leonard,
Yes.
Mayor Lee,
Yes.
Councilmember Collins.
Yes.
It passes 4-0. Ordinance number 1025.
1025, thank you very much. This is I6. This is the requirements for emergency warning systems or sirens. And so, in the past, developers were forced to put in sirens by the county if they were outside a certain range. And more recently, we worked directly with the county for installing sirens. This is like tornado sirens, the loud one that you hear periodically tested. So we don't necessarily need it reflected in subdivision regulations anymore. The developers have to place them because the county, when making determinations of sirens and the radius and how they apply, we'll just simply reach out to the city and we'll work with them directly for placing new sirens. And so the requirement for having developers do it is an antiquated one, so this is more sort of administrative cleanup at this point. We're moving it as a requirement from our subdivision regulations because for new sirens, we'll simply work with the county directly or they will work with us. So is there any questions about this one? This one also passed 6-0. You are going to have to waive the reading of the ordinance and then go through the process again.
I make a motion to waive the reading of the ordinance.
Second.
Krista's made the motion, Naomi seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That's carried 4-0.
And I make a motion to approve the modifications to Article 12, removing the requirements of the emergency warning system.
I'll second that. Krista made the motion, I seconded that. Roll call.
Councilmember Hall,
Yes.
Councilmember Leonard,
Yes.
Mayor Lee,
Yes.
Councilmember Collins.
Yes.
It passes. Ordinance number 1026.
1026, thank you very much. This is I7 light industrial zone classification. So this one is an interesting one because we are trying to introduce a zoning classification that will bridge the gap between heavy industrial and commercial. And so this has come up on several occasions where you might have a land use that's sort of a non-traditional commercial land use, but not intense enough to be an industrial. And so how do we classify it? And does it make sense? And so we decided to take the same zone classification that they have in Wichita, which they call light industrial, or limited, they call it limited, we're calling it light, and see if we can apply it and bring it into Goddard for use. And so at this point, we're looking to City Council to see if you guys would consider adopting a light industrial. Planning Commission did approve this one 6-0. You would again just be waiving the reading of the ordinance and approving the ordinance introducing the light industrial zoning classification to the subdivision regulations, or voice special roll call. Do you have any questions about this one?
I'll make a motion to waive reading of the ordinance.
Second.
Aubrey's made the motion, waive the reading of the ordinance. Naomi seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Make a motion to approve the ordinance introducing the light industrial zoning classification to the subdivision regulations.
I'll second that. Aubrey's made the motion, I seconded that. Roll call.
Councilmember Hall,
Yes.
Councilmember Leonard,
Yes.
Mayor Lee,
Yes.
Councilmember Collins.
Yes.
Passes 4-0. Ordinance 1027.
1027, thank you very much. This is I8, so sidewalk requirement modifications. This one basically is taking language that's been in subdivision regulations for a while, and it's been kind of copy and paste. So you see this in a lot of cities where you will have a new development come in, and the sidewalk will only be required to be 4 feet wide, and only be required to be on one side of the road, and only in specific situations. And so we kind of, as we've moved on, become more progressive in terms of how we want to tackle developments. We want to look at modifying that language to allow city staff to try to engage with the developer more and how we would propose sidewalks on particular developments on a case-by-case situation. And so right now it is stipulated that the sidewalk layout is largely going to be dictated by the city engineer, and so no offense to Harlan, but I don't think he wants to look at all these sidewalks, and we prefer that if the community development department would do it ourselves, and we would actually say, hey, if this particular development makes sense, maybe we would want to have 6-foot sidewalks or an 8-foot sidewalk, Or maybe no sidewalk over here, instead we would have to have a dedicated bike lane, just different ways that we want to tackle that right-of-way design for new developments. And so, in this particular case, we're asking to remove old language that references the city engineer dictating how the sidewalks will be laid out, and introducing new language that's more with modern planning practices for sidewalks. And it also references our 2019 bicycle pedestrian plan that was adopted and passed, so.
Mr. Mayor, if you don't mind, I want to add one comment to that.
Please.
The intention here is we want more sidewalks, wider sidewalks,
Right.
more multimodal transportation, and this kind of clears the way to develop exactly what that looks like, in my opinion, during the comprehensive planning process. So I hope that we make sure that that's part of that discussion as we work through that next year. I think it's super important that we have a well-connected community and not just by car.
I agree.
Very important.
Thank you.
Very important. That comprehensive plan is gonna have a lot of detail. All right, go ahead, here we go.
I make a motion to waive the reading of the ordinance.
A second.
Natalie's made the motion, Krista seconds, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I also make a motion to approve the modifications to Article 12 as it pertains to the introduction of sidewalks in new developments.
Natalie's made the motion, I will second that. Roll call.
Councilmember Hall,
Yes.
Councilmember Leonard,
Yes.
Mayor Lee,
Yes.
Councilmember Collins.
Yes.
Okay, passes 4-0, ordinance number 1028.
1028, thank you very much. This is I-9, so we're almost done, so take a deep breath. This is the R4 modification, so once again, just like we removed, or when we were looking at modifying R4, in that we would like to introduce more density. We want to try to generate as much revenue as we can. We want to try to entice commercial development to come into the city. And I think with this R4, one thing that we noticed that we adopted with R2 was the zero lot line. This has kind of come up in some conversations, is that you can have a new property straddle the lot line and maybe have a 5-foot separation between that and another development, as opposed to having traditional setbacks of like 5 feet and 5 feet on the sides. And so this one changes that, so this will allow a property in an R4 zoning to straddle a lot line and then have a 5-foot separation between that and its neighbor. And so that allows for greater intensity of density, which is great, and then also allows us to potentially work with developers for strategic infill development and tailoring new developments as we look to move forward into the future. So that's what the R4 modification is about.
I'm sorry, I want to comment on this one too.
Go right ahead.
This really boils down to one very important sentence, and I think it's going to come up often in the comprehensive plan. We want to develop a financially resilient community, and that's what we're trying to accomplish with this. Very similar to what you did when you modified the bulk regulations for R1 and R2. These are minimums. It doesn't mean that this is exactly what a developer is going to do. It just creates a path for it. Financial, resilient communities. It's very important.
That's almost as good as intensity of density.
It's my new favorite
I might like
category.
that one
Yeah, I was
better.
gonna say. I wrote it down.
I have a tattoo of my own.
Okay, with all that. Any questions? You good? Good on this end?
You good on this end?
You wanna make a motion?
Yep, make a motion to waive the reading of the ordinance.
Always made the motion, I'll second that. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And make a motion to approve the modifications of the R4 zoning classification.
Always made that motion. November seconds. Roll call.
Councilmember Hall,
Yes.
Councilmember Leonard. Yes. Mayor Lee,
Yes.
Councilmember Collins.
Yes.
Passes 4-0, 1029.
1029, thank you very much. This is item I-10. This is the overlay district for the Northwest Bypass. I'm just going to go ahead and go straight to the image so you guys can take a look at what's being proposed. But we've been working internally, city staff, and we know that the city administrator and the mayor have been working with the state and other local jurisdictions to what can be done to bring about the Northwest Bypass if the state wants to actually act on it, and what that would look like. One thing that's come up is an overlay district, which would basically say that that yellow line, if it's within city limits, we would work with the property owners and the state, that if somebody wants to develop within that and around and in that yellow line, that we would reach out to the state and say, hey, do you guys want to acquire this? And if the state says no, then the way the ordinance is drafted, the way that the zoning overlay is working, those particular properties that the state says they don't want to buy wouldn't be removed from that overlay district. If the state says, yes, we do want to buy it, then that helps that developer work with the state to actually acquire capital to offset the yellow portion of it, and then use that capital to then develop the rest of the land that's not within that yellow district. The yellow is a 150-foot buffer around the center line of the proposed bypass, and that's per the state. So we did talk to the state recently to say, hey, is this the most recent design? Does this emulate what you guys are thinking? Or not emulate, does this represent what you guys are proposing for that bypass? And they said yes, and so that's what we're using for our overlay district. So do you have any questions about that one? This one was the one that passed 5-1 from Planning Commission. There were some concerns about that. I think that as we work forward with the state, if they do act on this, there's plenty of ways that we can buffer this from the surrounding residential properties. There's plenty of ways that we can have this be an at grade as opposed to an elevated. I know historically they want to do an elevated bypass, and so I don't think that's in talks anymore. If you have any questions about this, once again, we do have city engineer, we have Ryan Peck, the city attorney. Robert Quakenall is the one who reviewed it and did say that if there's any concerns, he does believe the language is there and it's implicit enough that you can say that the state doesn't want to buy any of those properties that the yellow line touches, and they have tacitly admitted that they don't want that property to be within the district. And then you can say, okay, it's free reign. There's no restriction on the property in there.
I guess just from the maps and things that I've seen, the actual, I mean, originally the county had kind of a broader overlay so that
It's wider than it seems in the picture.
right, and where it's,
zoomed out a
that
lot.
curved line there, that area in there is part of the place where an exit ramp, I think, would, and part of that ground in that area has been already purchased by KDOT.
Mayor, that's why it's not in the right, that's why it's not being depicted as in the overlay, because they already
Right.
own it.
Right, but I just want to point that out, that people need to understand that there's been over $30 million spent purchasing right of way between Kellogg all the way up to 96 through Mays. And I think it's about, that $30 million has purchased about 40% of the actual right of way needed to build the project. First time I saw any maps on this was back in 1998, so this has been a process.
30-year conversation.
It has been,
Yeah.
and and for whatever reasons, the politics in Sedgwick County and Wichita, it's kind of stalled out. But there's between members of the county commission, there's a couple of city councilmen, the cities in western Sedgwick County. There's renewed interest in getting this actually moving. So, this just isn't something that's happened overnight. I know I had a conversation recently with somebody. It's like, when did that start? Well, it started a long time ago. So anyway, and so that's why there's that whole section, half section is open. It's because of just the general knowledge of that highway moving through that area. So I just thought it'd be important for a little context to mention that. So
Mayor,
go ahead.
do you want to make a brief mentioning of the MIS study, the recent KDOT local consult, how this project ranked in the south central region of the state of Kansas, maybe some of the energy that's been built in the last few months?
Part of the process that KDOT goes through, I think every couple of years, is they rank the projects in the area based on an event that they call the local consult. And that happened recently here in Wichita. There was probably several hundred people there. Everybody was there, was divided up into 5 groups, and there were conversations held in each one of those groups to rank the projects in the area. And based on some of the work and the people that were involved from the western part of the county, which includes developers, businesses, other stakeholders, cities. The 5 groups ranked this project as the #1 project in Sedgwick County. And the project that finished second was the western expansion of Kellogg, the interchange at 119th and also at 135th Street. Those projects have had some design work done, and they're fairly close to coming to fruition too. So there's a little bit of difference of opinion right now in the county between the east and the west and the city, because basically that ranking, it was kind of a surprise, I think, to everyone, including the folks in Topeka. But it's an interesting process, and you know, if you don't know anything about that, which has been pretty quiet, you know, I never knew how that worked. And so if the group on the east side knows how that works, and on the west side we're not too aware, our projects don't get mentioned. So what's happened in this case is a group of citizens and people in this area participated in the process, and so I think we've shed some new light on this. At one point, the director of KDOT had indicated that they were going to discontinue putting money into the fund. In the last several years, the KDOT's put $1 million in the pot. Sedgwick County's put $1 million in. The city of Goddard and the city of Mays, we've each put in $5,000. We're kind of like the C team of a basketball team. That contribution gets us in the yearbook picture. So we basically, by support, if you consider $1 per resident, that would mean the city of Wichita would need to kick in about $350,000 to match our contribution. So, but the city has long supported this project, and it takes 30 minutes to get from Goddard to Valley Center. Right now, that's without heavy traffic. Something like this gets built, you're talking about cutting that time probably to 15 to 20 minutes. So it also relieves the pressure and traffic off of 235. It'll move truck traffic off of Kellogg going through town. The safety issues of all the traffic right now running through the section roads between here and 96. There are a lot of truck traffic. There have been a lot of accidents in the last 5 years, and those accidents are going to continue to increase as people try to find ways to cut around the community. So that's probably enough for me on that.
Yeah, one last thing
Go
on
ahead.
it. The major investment study is starting at the turn of the year, and there will be several public engagement opportunities, probably one in Goddard, probably one in West Wichita, and one up towards Mays. And we're going to really be intentional about making sure our community knows that those are happening. That way, just like we did at the local consult with our regional partners, we can be at those public engagement sessions, letting KDOT know that this is very important to the region. Safety, economic development, just getting somewhere a little bit quicker can make life a lot easier. So I feel pretty confident that this is transitioning from a someday maybe project to a project that could happen within the next 5, 6, 7 years, at least. Maybe we're in construction. So, and I know you're very modest, so you may not appreciate this, but I want to thank you for the time and effort, Mayor, that you've made getting involved in our regional associations and really propping this up to get it to where it is now versus where it was 2 years ago. So,
Thank you. Appreciate that.
of course.
All right, here we go.
I make a motion that we waive the reading of the ordinance.
Second.
Krista made the motion. Naomi seconds. All those in favor, say aye. 4-0, that passed. Next step.
Make a motion to approve the ordinance adding the Northwest Expressway Overlay District to Article 4 of the subdivision regulations.
Okay.
You got it. I'll do that.
Well, let Aubrey second that.
Yeah.
Kristen made the motion. Roll call.
Councilmember Hall,
Yes.
Councilmember Leonard,
Yes.
Mayor Lee,
Yes.
Councilmember Collins,
Yes.
passes 4-0, ordinance number 1030.
10:30, thank you, appreciate it.
Good time, 10:30. City Administrator's report already?
Yes. Honorable Mayor and City Council, a few updates on city operations, projects, and some future agenda items. I'm going to keep reminding you up until the couple of days that we have the orientation/retreat coming up on the 29th and 30th. Make sure you got your calendars clear there so we can work together with our new council member elects on getting reoriented and doing some workshopping and camaraderie building during those 2 days. The Gata Galleria project, we have surpassed 15 of 100 working days. They've actually been making a lot of progress. Sanitary sewer installation is done. They're awaiting their inspection and testing on that. Water lines 1, 2, and 3 are underway. Storm sewer lines 1 and 2 are on track to be finished this week, and storm infrastructure has already been completed along both Crown Drive and the South Frontage Road. Construction fill over the high pressure gas pipelines was completed last week. Storm sewer work will continue this week with site grading expected to begin soon. Thank you to Harlan and his inspectors for giving a thorough update on that project. Just another reminder on the mobile services that'll be coming to our community December 3rd and 4th for veterans. Villas at Pleasant Ridge Creek, the pre-construction conference has occurred. We should see construction of paving, stormwater, water, and sewer projects. The early start date is December 1st, 2025. This first phase is 65 two-family lots. The villas are a housing community that is intended for and operated for the occupancy of older persons as defined by the HOPA Act. That's in the northeast corner of 183rd and Maple. Just across the street in the southeast corner of 183rd and Maple will be the Willows Ridge development. Paving, storm sewer, sanitary sewer, and water distribution projects serving this development are currently advertising for bid. Bids due November 20th, and a bid award will come at that Tuesday council meeting on November 25th. 3rd Street Road construction, they've been working over the weekend trying to beat this weather. They're progressing. 6 of 30 working days thus far. Asphalt removal is finished. The sub base has been compacted and proof rolled. Rock base delivery is scheduled for tomorrow to stay ahead of forecasted rain. Once the rock is placed, the contractor will build a temporary ramp to restore access to the post office driveway. Concrete areas have been marked for removal as the next phase of work begins. Thank you to our city planner Tina Powell for her inspection and update on that project. The Public Works Facility project is really moving along. We've got some really well-refined design documents. I believe that we'll have the Part 2 contract for construction to you during a council meeting in December. It's already been approved as performed by our legal counsel. The water looping project, Harlan's working through engineering and design. I have a feeling that we might have some condemnation involved in that project as well as we acquire easements. So that could delay things a little bit, but we're really hoping to get into construction within the next couple of months. So the 2026 roadway projects, they are CED, Harlan's firm, is also working on those. A very similar start date, hopefully, to the water looping projects. The 167th Street addition, sanitary sewer, stormwater, and water project, they're really wrapping up over there. When they kind of finish the project, they develop a punch list. All the parties go out there and walk the site. Here's a list of things that need to be accommodated before final payment and close out of the project. They were out there over the last couple of days kind of working through that punch list. A big part of that has been cleaning up the Prairie Sunset Trail, and I'm really happy with the effort that the contractors made in that regard. The 167th Water Transmission Line project, 10 of 50 working days have elapsed. Crews are continuing directional drilling, utility daylighting, valve install, and steady placement of 12-inch water line along multiple segments. Several hundred feet have already been put in the ground. That transmission line is going to serve the 167th and 23rd Street subdivision, along with plenty of development as we continue to move our footprint south and east. Bridger at Maple Phase 2 project, 29 of 165 working days have elapsed as crews continue excavation of Reserve C and advanced lift installation across multiple blocks with ongoing materials testing throughout the site. Looking at our human resource contract with McGrath, that is where we're advancing that pretty well. We got a copy of our new draft org chart, our job descriptions. We got those back. We're working through refining those. The performance evaluation process is complete. North Park, we're still having our bi-weekly meetings. That's advancing very nicely. I anticipate that to be on a similar construction timeline to a lot of these other projects. We got to get into it, turning a shovel in March. We already have a lot of construction projects. We're going to be adding a few more. So our small but mighty team is doing a great job keeping up with all of them. SCADA project. This is a same update I gave you 2 weeks ago. I believe we've advanced a bit further since then. That group is continuing to meet on a regular basis to get the telemetry system installed to make our utility infrastructure talk better to itself and our staff that operates it. Hawkins Lane, the bids will be open tomorrow. The bid award will likely be considered at the November 25th City Council meeting. The Goddard Main Street Steering Committee had the pleasure of sitting in on that committee meeting as they developed their mission and vision statement. We're going to keep moving through that process. Ryan and Danny are doing a good job from the city staff's perspective, and we're real thankful for the committee that stepped up to put that together. I believe our application to the state is due 1st of spring, so we got some work to do over the next couple of months. Several upcoming agenda items, some that we've talked about already, so I'll just leave that there for you and ask if you have any questions.
Kind of slow news day. That's sarcasm.
Thank you.
You bet, thank you. Just briefly, students from Goddard High School for class taking notes, or just here because you want to be?
Boy Scouts.
Cool. Well, welcome. I didn't get a chance to recognize you, but you picked a good meeting to come to, because normally we're running 2 hours. I think we could wrap this up in an hour. So. Okay, got anybody comments?
I want to thank the Lions Club for a really nice Thanksgiving. I admitted in one of the committees, the Main Street Committee, that I don't particularly like Thanksgiving dinner. I know it's odd. However, all the food was amazing, and I appreciated how efficiently, it's a very well-oiled machine. You guys are so proficient. And I did hear that the staff showed up to help with all of that in the morning, so thanks for doing that.
We'll work for food.
Yes.
I heard that one time before.
Also,
T-shirts.
we've been driving around, my husband and I drive around on Sundays and just kind of look at and see what's happening around Goddard. So it's been fun to see that Casey's is getting close. He loves their breakfast pizza. And the road at the Goddard Galleria going in, that's very exciting to see all of that construction happening there. So, good things happening here.
I don't have a whole lot, just as a reminder for everybody, anybody who might be online, that the Goddard Entry has kicked off. We have about 170 families that we're trying to serve this year. And so there's still donation boxes in several locations around town, to include the Pizza Hut, Walmart, and the Resource Center, right? The Goddard Resource Center. So please help us if you have an opportunity to do that. Really looking to feed everybody Thanksgiving dinner, so those are the kind of items that we're looking for. And don't forget, we've got the mittens off of the tree in Walmart probably next week. And just want to say thanks to all the city staff for all your work, like great presentation. Excited to see Tyler Technology software. That was a lot of work that you guys all put in to do all of the training and everything to bring that to light. So thanks for taking the time to really research that well. And then Ryan and Danny for heading off the Goddard Main Street Steering Committee. Excited to see what comes of that. So thanks to all the staff. Oh, and thank you for emptying the trash of the garden since we filled it up this weekend. Thanks so much for always taking care of the garden for us. Like that. And then,
Yeah.
This looks like a 3-hour agenda, so I appreciate the efficiency tonight.
Very good. Ma'am, I'd like to thank you for all the work that you've done this year on the garden.
Yeah.
People don't realize how much time it takes.
Yeah.
And the group that you have working over there, my
You
wife.
and the Lord.
My wife, you know, there's a
And
group,
Jessica.
Pam Dayhoff, and there's a group of them that spend a lot of
Yeah, that's
time.
true.
And so, and I think, your efforts, are really shown in how nice that is being operated and the way it looks to take care of. So thank you for the extra time you put into doing that. Staff, thanks for helping with that Thanksgiving meal. And I would just reiterate the Mitten Tree call, 170 some children,
436.
170 families, 436 children. So that's, I think, the largest group that we've had in the community. So just want to encourage everyone to participate in that whatever way they can. So with that, we'll move on to one last thing, which is an executive session.
Two last things.
Yeah.
Two.
To
We have to make a motion, right? To
Yeah.
move to, I make a motion to move to enter executive session for consultation with the governing body's attorney for confidential data relating to the financial affairs or trade secrets of corporations, partnerships, trusts, and individual proprietorship per KSA 2015 SUP 75-4319, including the city administrator, city attorney, and bond counsel, with the regular meeting opening at 8:15, 8:20.
Just let your time.
We'll take a bathroom break.
Oh, yeah, bathroom break. Okay, so 8:20?
8:20.
8:20.
Just need a motion, all the seconds, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We will be back at 8:20. I have no
That was unnecessary.
We're reconvene, it's 8:20. Let the minutes show that there was no action taken during our time in executive session. So that's just moving on to the next one. There it is, L2.
Make a recommendation to move to enter executive session for consultation with the city attorney for the public body or agency which would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship per KSA 75-4319 B2 to receive advice regarding a matter including the city administrator, city attorney, and bond counsel, with the regular meeting reopening at 8:41. 22 seconds.
Really good, all right. We have a motion, a second.
I second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
See you again in a few minutes. We're reconvening back in session, 8:42. Apologize for being so slow getting over here. There was no action taken in that executive session. Let the record reflect that. And we have no other business. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I second that, third that. All those in favor say aye. Meeting adjourned. Have a good evening.